During your life so far, what was your gritty goal?
My goal as a child growing up, I wanted to be a secretary. Um, Being that we had a hard school life, home life,
Mm-hmm.
all I worried about was getting to survive. Worried about my mother, um, worrying about if I was gonna be hurt or killed when I got home. So with school, I really didn't put my efforts out because my mind was not set. And I did the typing at school. We had the old typewriters. Uh-huh. We were tested every day on how fast we could type. Um, and then that was what we had to get into, like at college if we wanted to go. Well, I wanted to go to college after I graduated, but I didn't have the money.
Mm-hmm.
My school grades definitely didn't show for, what are those things called?
Grade book?
Where you get paid for going to school.
Scholarships?
Scholarships. I got married and raised a family. Becky's grandpa moved to build buildings, and we went to um, Richfield,
Mm-hmm.
and I attended Snow College because we didn't have what you have.
You
And
didn't
guys,
have the technology, you didn't have you weren't able to have the right education that you needed like we do
Right.
now.
Oh yes,
Because
absolutely.
back then there wasn't, I'm assuming there wasn't very many career clusters that you could get in. Like you couldn't get into architecture, you couldn't get
Right.
into IT, you couldn't get into
It
many
depended.
more.
Yeah, it depended on your grades.
Depended on
Uh-huh.
how your lifestyle.
Right. Some of them went on to be doctors.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them went on to school and got a really nice degree, went to work, and ended up ruining their life by drugs. I didn't have the education to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I had the technical skills, but I didn't have the education to continue it.
Why was becoming a secretary your gritty goal? As in, why did you want to aim for that goal when there was many other jobs? Like, you could have become a doctor, like you had said earlier, a dentist. You could have become a carpenter. And why did you want to become a secretary? Why was that so important in your opinion?
Because growing up, that was one of the main goals. When we were growing up, the people wasn't go out and get a job type thing, go out and get schooling and stuff. It was
You
okay.
couldn't go out and get it for free will like we can now. It was very different back then, I'm assuming.
Yes, it was. And so all we were taught was to be get married and have kids and be a homemaker.
Mm-hmm.
And so going to college was not a lot of people's goals. But anyway, after I went to Snow, I did attend the tech over here for 2 or 3 years.
At the Salt Lake Community College?
Community, and I did try to get some education at it.
Mm-hmm.
But by then the technology
wasn't very.
it was
But
so
it wasn't
hard.
very good that we. It wasn't very much like the technology we have now. Because in some
Absolutely.
classes there's smart boards, there's computers, there's almost in every classroom you turn there's technology. But back then you didn't have that achievement. You had textbooks, papers, and a book.
Right. But going over to college, we did have computers,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't have the knowledge how to work them.
Mm-mm.
So I had to take classes to learn how to work them.
So computer
And so-
technology classes?
Yes. And so I had A's and all of that. So anyway, being a secretary was not the thing at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Technology as for becoming a doctor, becoming something that you could use your hands with, that kind of thing. Whereas being a secretary was not important anymore. It was just one of those jobs. Unless you got lucky and got into these great big companies, then you could earn your way up. But by then I was too old. They didn't want people who was my age. They wanted some young person that they felt like
they could wear out and they could last long.
Yeah, they could maintain that job for years.
How long did it take for you to have achieved getting to be a secretary? How much years did it take in like overall?
It would have taken, well, if I had been able to go to school, I could have done it within a year and a half, 2 years. But when I got to the age where I could have got some of the technology and stuff, I was way too old, and they don't like old people.
Because they can't keep them, they can't boss them around that long because
Well, we have the knowledge of saying, hey, we've been there where you're at. You know what goes on. You cannot
you can't force
fool us.
me.
Yeah, you can't fool me into doing something that you want to do.
Were there any problems or obstacles that had happened while you were working on your way to becoming a secretary?
Number one was home life. That is a problem, I think, for a lot of students. Number two, money. If you don't have money to go to school, you can get grants, but you have to have somewhere.
You have to have someone, like you have to have like an athletic scholarship, an academic
Scholarship. But I did work for UNIVAC, and we made what they considered at that time the brain for the missiles, and so I did get to work on those.
You did missiles, you like created missiles and how like the controls for the missiles, like
the brain is what they called it, the thing that made them decide to do something. Goes, you know, they had the commands, but yes, we ended up doing that, and it was a really fun, interesting job.
So how did you overcome how did you overcome the problems that you faced? Like, say, how did you overcome the money problem? How did you overcome the life at home problem?
After I got out of school and went to work, and then I got married, and then when I went to start going to school and stuff, I had the money from my husband's income. But to overcome it mentally, it was very difficult, very, very difficult. Because see, I never learned that steps of how to write things down. You know, when you're studying.
Like Cornell notes, kind of like note taking.
Note taking, yes. I never learned those kind of things.
You didn't learn how to take notes.
No. And the things that go along with that, I never learned those skills. So then when I went to college and I had to do my homework.
Like you never learned how to highlight important words. You never learned how to separate them into boxes. You never learned how to...
Never even heard of it.
Really?
I never even
You didn't know it was an actual thing that happened.
No, I did not. And even some of the English had changed.
Really?
You know, yeah.
Like
and
more
math,
academic complex.
Some of the math that you were doing when you stayed here, was just over my mind. I had never even heard of those things, and yet
like
some of
integers or like in our time it would have been like integers or like turning it into two-step equations or like making it into more.
Never heard of it.
Wow.
But I do know in some ways the math that I was watching while you were doing, you had to do all these steps, you know, whereas you could just take two numbers, add them together, and there's the answer.
Mhm.
But watching you had to take this step and then this step and then
Do
this
multiple variety of steps.
Yes.
Like you would
Yes.
have to have you would like in our time you have to do the parentheses first, and in your time you didn't have the parentheses. It didn't help it. You didn't have PEMDAS or anything
Never
to help
heard
you.
of it. I don't even know what it is.
It's parentheses.
Well, I know what parentheses are.
Yeah, the PEMDAS stands for parentheses first, then you do exponents, then you do multiplication, then you do division, then you do addition and subtraction. It always goes in that order. But you didn't have that when you were in that time, I'm assuming. So to get to your goal of becoming a secretary, did you ever feel like quitting at any point in time?
Yes, all the time. Especially when I went back to school at snow. And when the teacher wanted us to do these things,
These hard assessments.
I'm going, excuse me, what are those? You know, and so they would take the time to explain to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't understand them, and so until you understand the concept, you can't do it right.
Yeah.
And learning the concepts are important.
How did you overcome the feeling of quitting? And how did you keep on going to your goal? And how did you make it to your goal? And when you felt like quitting, how did you achieve and not quit and keep on going until you reached your goal?
Well, I had 4 really smart kids, and so I didn't want to feel stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal was still the same. And so when I was in school, I tried really hard. I would come home after my class and sit for hours and try to do what was necessary,
Mm-hmm.
so that I didn't look like a dumb bunny to my kids.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever leave the goal alone for a short period of time? And when did you leave that goal alone?
When I got married and my kids left, that's when I started going back to schools, when the kids were all out of the house. And on
So
their
you
own.
left it when the kids were in there so you could take care of them. You could go into parenting.
Well, yeah, I spent most of my life parenting.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they had left home to do their own thing,
To move out, go to college.
I started to try to do what I had my goal in mind when I was a child.
How did you feel when you had reached your goal? Did you feel proud? Did you feel excitement? Did you feel sadness that you couldn't work on your goal any longer?
I was excited because the kids couldn't, my children couldn't, and I know they wouldn't, but they couldn't tell me, well, Mom, you don't really know what's going on. I did know, and I did have A's in my classes.
Mm-hmm.
I had an A minus, what's it called?
In our time, it would be
At the very end, where you've got a certain goal there. At the very end. At this,
your final.
My final, yes, my final was an A minus. And so my kids, when I told them about it, they just said, good going, Mom.
They didn't really understand how much work it had taken.
No, because I never told them a lot about my childhood. So
Because you didn't want them to worry.
I didn't want them to know. And so it was really important to me that they grew up in a different home life.
Than
really
what you
important.
had.
Yeah.
Different experience.
Right. And also, we together, my husband and I, wanted the best for the kids. We wanted them to do the best they could.
Mm-hmm.
If they got a D grade, if that's the best they could do, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't. They all worked hard. to get good grades. And so we were very proud of them. And we're still very proud of their lives,
How they had
how they achieved.
well, how much they achieved.
Oh yeah, we have our oldest son become a doctor. That took him 15 years of schooling
Mm-hmm.
to become that. And our other kids have become what they want to be. And we're very proud of what they want. Their happiness
Is all that
important.
matters to you?
That's right. All I care about is
Is about them.
they're happy, they're good,
They're healthy.
they're healthy, they're doing what they want to do,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I think education has made a lot of difference for them.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for having this interview with me and taking the time to answer my questions about the assessment. And I believe that the students who are watching this have learned something.
I hope so. It's really important to get an education. I don't care what kind of education you're doing.
Just
But
do it and
just-
graduate and get a
Yes,
degree.
because
Because if not, it ruins your life.
well, if you noticed, not a lot, but some adults will graduate
Some people.
some people will graduate into things that are not deleted, but no longer needed. So you need to choose a field
that
that will
is important
continue,
and that
yes.
will spare you for a lifetime.
exactly. And you're welcome.